Okay, now to do the center, I'm going to do what I call a fringe of stalks, and I do 12 of them. And these are going to be 4 bead stalks. So I do 3 of a green, and then on top of just one contrasting sort of yellowy thing bead on top. I don't have as much selection with the 15s as I do with my 11s, so kind of got to work with what I've got. This is on a 32 gauge wire. This is a pretty stiff one, which is good. I like it because it holds its shape. Kind of a pain in the neck to work with. But it needs to be 32 gauge because I need to be able to go back down the middle. So now I've already done 9, so, or 10. Let me double check. 10, so I just have to do 2 more. So I'm going to put 3 on here and then pick up 1 top bead. Now here's where I do something a little super uptight. Normally when you do like a fringe or a stalk like these, if you just pull it through, which I think was pretty much what most people do. So I'm pulling it through, right? You want to have it all the way down touching this bottom here. And so I'm going to pull it all the way through. And you got to be real careful with these small beads not to go too tight because they will break. Now that one I left more space than I wanted to because I was looking at the camera at the same time to see if I was still at the right angle. But you don't want to mess with them too much because these beads will crack, these smaller ones. So normally, like, you'd leave it like that and go on about your day. But as you notice, mine are a little different. They have the top faces up because you're going to be looking down on this. And I want the actual bead to be visible, not like a hole with wire. So, and this is the part that's got to be real gentle, especially for some reason, these particular beads that I'm using right now are very fragile. Probably not the best choice. So I take my blunt-nosed vinyl pliers and I gently hold it so it's upright. And then, I'm not sure you can see this, and then kind of get my fingernail in there and kind of crease the wire and then gently tamp it, very gently. Though there are ways to fix it if you crack it, but you really don't want to. And then, so now it's facing more up. Now, you don't want to spend too long. This one kind of flopped because it's looser. These smaller ones aren't as easy to do as the 11s because you can really take hold of them. Like this one flopped over, but that's okay. I mean, you know, nature. So 1 more, and then we're done with the fringe. So I'm going to get 3 on there. And then pick my bead up. I actually get so uptight that I actually look for ones that are wider so that they're showing a lot of bead, a lot of color when they're on the side. And then I go back down through the 3, push it through. I'm gonna pull the end, I'm gonna work it so that we get all the way to the bottom. Again, you want the bottoms to be touching and kind of pinch it there so that it holds it in place. Pull it down. Again, you're not pulling your hardest on these because you can crack the bottom one too, which makes it sound much scarier than it really is. It's just these particular ones really, I've been having a heck of a time. Now I'm going to grab this and, again, gentle. If it does crack, my recommendation is you crack through all of them and unbend it. Force break the other ones with pliers. Of course, now they worked out fine. What I mean by that is if you do have ones, let's say I'll show you on this end. Suppose I had ones where I did my 3, just because I want to show you it's not the end of the world, though you still have to be careful. And I did this, and then I got these together, and I was like, okay, I'm going to spend the extra time for whatever reason, which you absolutely do not have to do, putting the other, and I didn't go all the way through, putting the other bead right side up, so I don't see the hole as much when it's sitting up. So say I have this one, and I'm like, oh, it's not working, so I'm going to do this, and I'm pinching it really hard, and all of a sudden, of course, I'm like, they're so fragile. And I go, oh, I cracked through it. What I would do at this stage, if it were me, is take regular needle nose pliers and be gentle. Don't pull it through. This one, because it's loose, you could just pull it off right now. But if it were crammed up on here, you can't do that. If it were the first one, you just undo it and off you go, and who cares? But when they're crammed up against here and you've already pulled it there, you can't really do that. So what I would do is gently force break them. And just sacrifice the beads, and then you can do this. It's a lot easier than trying to undo it and having like a broken one up top. So so off we go. So we got that done. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right onto the stem wire that I'm actually going to use. And I'll put this a little bit out of the way here. And so I'm going to use a light green. I'm going to stretch it to make sure it's really there because I'm going to put these beads on it. So I want it to be a lighter green, right? So I'm going to take one of my light green stem wires. I start down here. I hate rolling thin stem wires because I have really bad hand issues. They don't like it. So roll it up to the top. Gets about that much play on it. And I bend it down to keep the top nice and covered. And then roll it back down. That way the top doesn't expose any stem wire. I like it to have this. It also grabs on better that way. So I wrap my own. I don't buy it pre-wrapped. And even if I did, I would probably, I do have that, I would still wrap over it. Just call me crazy. Okay, so now, I always want the long tail end to be at the very end, if there is one longer. And so, by the way, I cut off about 12 inches of wire for this. This is the first time I've made this size, so you probably need less, but just to be safe. It's about 12 inches of wire, because you have to cut it off to do it, because to make stalks like this. So I wrap around, and then the trick with this one is once you get to the beads or the actual fringe, you want to do like a tight spiral, but you don't want to do like you're making a mum where you're trying to get it wrapped like right up on each other. You want to give it a little bit of space. And now you can unwrap them, but I wouldn't recommend that. So try to just do it your first time. And so I do it like probably about 1 millimeter, like less than 1/16 of an inch separated the rows. And I spiral down. And I try to, like the last row, I bring it back up to meet so it doesn't kind of spiral down. And then get a lot of wrap on the bottom there. Get it all the way. You don't have to use all the wire, but there it is. So I'm going to get a good inch or more than an inch of wrap on it. Okay, so now we got this little guy. So this is our center, and we're going to make him kind of look like a pine cone, or I don't know what you would call the center of a magnolia, but kind of looks pine coney, right? Oh, wait, here. I happen to have some, I made a 15 on a larger scale. So like this guy right here in this middle, right? So it kind of has this pine cone effect. And this is more of a saucer magnolia with smaller leaves and slightly different configuration. But as I peel that guy back, but here, and we're not going to do the little fringe around the bottom for these little teeny ones. We're just going to use these. So anyhow, we're aiming for this looking thing. And in fact, I think these are the exact same beads I used for that. So we're going to shape it to look like that, but on a smaller scale. Now, and so what we're going to do with that is push everything up gently again and kind of push it all towards the middle. Shape your little thing there. Shape, shape, shape. And this is a stiff wire, which again is good for the long run, but makes it kind of annoying to shape. You really want to get it like right on in there. Get all squished up. Okay, I've been grading all day, so I'm a little slow motion right now. Not exactly the most scintillating personality describing it right now. So we get it like that, and now we have that little miniature pine coney look to it. I don't know why I keep calling it that, but for some reason that's what it looks like. And now also, see this one, it flopped over, but you can see the difference, how we're looking down and we're seeing the color of the beads and not just wire all the time. I mean, it's okay if you see a little bit, but, and again, it's real hard to, you don't want to mess with these guys too much because they're so fragile. If I were doing it full size with 11s, I would be definitely making sure I did that. So now you're just going to assemble the 3, everything evenly spaced. You're going to assemble the 3. I wasn't planning on doing this on camera. Actually, I'm going to stop this one, and I might do an extra one with the assembly. But so that's your little center. And again, it looks pretty cool there, and it's the right size, so I'm happy with it. It's actually the second one I made. I made one slightly larger, and I wasn't happy with it. Okay, so there we go. And I'm still, as you notice, I'm still trying to squish it up. Now, if you have softer wire, it'll squish easier, but it might also get pushed around a little bit more. So I'm going to stop this one, and we're going to do one about assembly.